Our next speaker is Kim Bowen, and Kim is also part of I would say, a trifecta at T-Mobile. They're doing a fabulous project that you're now going to learn about. But it's interesting because Kim, with her colleagues Mani and Yao, are actually doing exactly what Steve just talked about bringing people together across different silos to get the experience to a different level that includes all different types of stakeholders. So that's pretty cool. I would say, Kim, it's time for you. So come on in.
Perfect. Thank you, Alan. Okay, well, I'm excited to share with you all how we are transforming the IT experience at T-Mobile using XLAs. For us, this shift is about a lot more than just measuring IT performance differently. It's about rethinking how we approach IT holistically, right? How we look at employee productivity and really how we measure the value that we deliver as an organization. Let me switch. Okay. So IT success is traditionally measured through SLAs, right? We're all used to the same metrics: system uptime, ticket resolution times. And while these continue to be important, they don't tell the full story anymore. We all know that a system can be up, but at the end of the day, if our employees are struggling to use it, or they don't find it an efficient way to get their work done, then IT is still falling short. And that's where, for us, XLAs are coming into the picture. They're bridging the gap for us between our operational metrics and our real and true employee experience. We're able to measure things like sentiment and ease of use and employee productivity instead of just the technical performance. And as you guys probably all know, customer experience is at the heart of our brand at T-Mobile, right? We are constantly striving to deliver exceptional experiences to our customers. And that same philosophy applies when we talk about IT. We don't want to just fix problems. That's not enough for us anymore. We want to ensure that our employees are never feeling friction in the first place. So how do we get IT out of this reactive space that it's typically been in, right? Doing the same things, tracking incidents, looking at resolution speeds, plug in your favorite efficiency metric here. These numbers, they don't always reflect the true impact that technology has on our employees. So in some cases, we found that they're even driving the wrong behaviors with our teams. They're leading our teams to focus on closing out tickets instead of really looking at the experience that they're delivering to our employees. With LA, we're looking to change that mindset. We're looking to leverage sentiment analysis and digital experience scores that will help us to detect and resolve these issues before they impact our employees. So instead of just delivering functional systems like we have in the past, we're now looking at IT as an enabler to empower our workforce and to provide better technology experiences. This shift for us is especially important as we continue to scale automation across IT, right? Automation is critical not only to our long-term strategy, but across everybody, right? Automation is in all of our roadmaps. But if we don't do it right, we can end up delivering suboptimal experiences. And that's where, for us, XLAs provide that critical window into the employee experience. It's helping us to pinpoint and prioritize the changes that truly matter to our employees. We can combine AI-powered ticket resolution and proactive IT support and marry that with our experience insights in order to streamline those workflows, reduce the friction, and ensure that our employees are feeling empowered and supported. At the end of the day, our employee satisfaction isn't just an IT goal, right? It's really what drives our brand loyalty. It's what drives our business success. It influences the overall culture of our organization. So for us to make this transformation happen, we needed more than just a new set of metrics that we were asking everybody to look at and asking everybody to consider. We needed to implement a complete mindset shift, right? We've talked a lot so far in this session about culture, and that's really what's at the foundation of this for us. And that's where our Magenta experience program comes in. So before we could even think about XLAs, right, that's a big step. We needed to lay the foundation for our program, one that took experience and made it a core part of everything that we do. And that's why we've launched this strategic initiative to really put experience at the center of everything that IT does. One of our first major changes that we made was rebranding our technology support organization. So we are considered technology customer experience. It was a lot more than just a name change for us. It was really about setting the foundation for that cultural shift and sending a really clear message that experience is about how we operate now as a support organization. Next, we looked at delivering service now, and we had the opportunity to accelerate the program, lift and shift our old processes into the new system. Instead, we took a minute, we took a step back, we really reevaluated everything through an experience-first lens, making sure that we were eliminating friction and making our IT interactions as seamless as possible, both for our end users and for our fix agents as we were escalating tickets through Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 support teams. We also knew that embedding experience thinking across IT meant investing in our people. So we provided experience training for all of our technology support leaders, as well as some of our strategic roles, making sure that the concept of experience first IT was understood at all levels in our organization. And then to further reinforce that, we also created some dedicated experience design roles that were focused on experience as not just a side project, but really as their core function and as them being responsible for driving this program forward. So we weren't asking this to be part of your job or carving out part of your full-time role to focus on experience, but really having this be dedicated full-time resources that we're going to make sure that this program stayed on track for us. We also looked at doubling down our investment in Eternity, which is our digital experience or DEX platform. That was giving us real-time insights into how our employees are interacting with their technology. So that gave us the ability to proactively address issues before they escalated and really ensure we were providing that seamless digital experience for our employees. And then really looking at how do we take it a step further beyond just the perception of experience, but really embedding experience metrics into our long-term goals. When we look at our goals for 2027, we have experience metrics as measures of business value right alongside our traditional KPIs like cost savings, cost avoidance, and operational efficiency. With this foundation in place, we were then able to launch our first XLA, and that really focused on the technology experience for our contract workers. It's an area that for us had consistently surfaced as a top issue for both our contractors, their leaders, and our senior leadership team. Our contractors rely really heavily, obviously, as we all do, on our technology to be productive. And when their systems were slow or unreliable or generally difficult to use, it directly impacted their ability to deliver results for us. And for our leadership, having this large group of contractors, right, we've got 10,000 individuals out there that are responsible for some of our most strategic initiatives. This wasn't just an IT issue. This was a true business problem if they were unable to use their technology efficiently. So this created frustration. It delayed projects for us. It reduced our overall effectiveness as an organization. So we selected that as our first XLA. We tackled a highly visible, high impact challenge that our leadership was already invested in and already recognized as a critical business pain point. By aligning our first XLA with that known pain point, we were able to ensure immediate executive buy-in, because we weren't just introducing a new metric into the organization, we were helping to solve a problem that directly affected productivity, efficiency, and ultimately our business outcomes. Then through demonstrating measurable improvements in experience with this group, we were able to build that trust and that momentum to expand our XLAs across our other workforce segments. So the success for us of this initial effort proved that IT experience, it isn't just a theory, it's really delivering tangible results that are able to drive business success for us. But when we talk about that, we're not talking about this first XLA being the end all be all step, right? We then had our next challenge, which is learning, refining, and scaling our program beyond just our initial XLA. And our success wasn't instant. We have many lessons we can share with you about what we've learned along the way as we've been on our XLA journey. So we've had to iterate, we've had to adjust, we've had challenges to overcome to get to where we are today. And one of the things that we've learned is that experience management, it isn't just about XLAs. It's really about building that deep culture that puts people at the center of all of your IT decisions. One of our biggest lessons is start simple and scale smart. At first, we tried to launch a full end-to-end XLA program all at once, like XLA 4.0, as Alan would call it. And that complexity and trying to achieve such a big goal so quickly really slowed us down. So we ended up scrapping that and starting from scratch and going back to saying, okay, let's start small. Let's focus on one really well-defined XLA, learn from that, and then refine as we expand our program. We also learned that targeting leadership recognized issues is really key to gaining the traction that you need. When you focus on problems that your leaders are already invested in solving, you get that immediate buy-in and the momentum that you need to drive your program forward. Another critical factor for us was having those dedicated resources. You don't need to start out of the gate with a full experience management office from day one, but you do need people whose sole focus is experience. Without having that dedicated attention, your initiative is going to get lost in the day-to-day. You're going to have competing IT priorities. You're going to have competing fire drills that your team gets pulled away to. So you really need to carve out, even if it's just a couple dedicated resources, to make sure that this is what they're focused on full time and they're helping to make incremental progress and to share those success stories. We also saw firsthand how investing in the right tools makes a big difference. We had a DEX tool in place ahead of starting this journey, but we were not fully capitalizing on its capabilities. We did not commit the resources or the time to truly build it out. It was there, but it was not functioning at the level that we needed it to. We were leaving really valuable functionality like sentiment analysis underutilized. So once we doubled it down and we got some dedicated resources and really invested time and energy into building out the platform, we were able to see some real results that impacted our sentiment scores and improved that experience for our employees. And finally, we've seen firsthand how powerful it is to lean into sentiment data and to make it accessible to other teams. You would be surprised if you haven't started this journey yet. As you start down this path, you will be a little bit shocked when you think about and start to realize how many pain points your employees are experiencing that have never showed up in your traditional IT metrics. Giving teams that intuitive sentiment insight can help them uncover those hidden friction points and help empower IT to solve the problems before they escalate, and sometimes even before our employees feel the need to report them. So now that we've built momentum and we've been able to prove the value of XLAs within T-Mobile, our next challenge is ensuring that our program is sustainable and scalable, right? We want to move beyond just our first XLA and really build out a robust program. And while that strong foundation is critical to getting off on the right foot, we're now shifting our focus to refining and expanding our approach to drive even greater impact across the organization. One of our biggest changes is going to be to expand our XLA program out to all of our workforce segments. So having initially focused on that contract worker segment, now we can move out to everyone in our organization and ensure that they benefit from experience first approach, whether that's contractors, service partners, or our employees. All of our functions will have an improved technology experience backed by XLAs. To support expanding the program, we're focusing on data-driven experience management, investing further in our DEX platform and in our analytics teams, which allows us to predict and resolve those friction points before they impact employee productivity. While traditionally our support models have relied heavily on reactive problem solving, by using experience data, we're able to identify those trends and those potential disruptions early before they reach our employees or are noticed by our employees. So we're reducing that disruption and distraction from our workforce and improving their ability to be productive. However, this program is only as strong and effective as the people who drive it, right? So we're strengthening our training and adoption programs. We're ensuring that expertise in our experience management isn't limited to just a small group or just IT support, but it's really embedded throughout our IT operations organization. So we're looking at tiered training programs as a way to develop a workforce that understands how to design, how to measure, and ultimately how to continuously improve our IT experiences. So focusing on strategic roles responsible for experience design, ensuring that leaders, engineers, support teams are all aligned on experience-first principles going forward. We're also making experience a shared responsibility across our IT partner teams. So it can't just be limited to our support teams. It really needs to be integral to every part of IT and all of the functions. So whether we're talking about the engineering teams, the security teams, our service management teams, we're embedding experience-focused decision-making into the way all of our IT teams are operating. So for us, at the end of the day, this journey, it's not just about checking a box and saying, we've done it, we've done the thing, we've delivered XLAs. Our measure for success is really about how technology is enabling and enhancing productivity for our workforce. So now that we've laid the foundation and we're making experience-first IT really a core part of how we operate and how we innovate and how we grow future forward, how do we know that we're truly making an impact in this space? And that's where measuring our success comes in. So we're already seeing some really exciting measurable results from our XLA efforts, from reducing IT support tickets to higher sentiment analysis and stronger leadership buy-in to the program. One of our biggest wins is our reduction in IT support tickets. And our employees, as a result, are spending less time dealing with technology issues and more time getting their real work done. So instead of being stuck troubleshooting technology problems or dealing with inefficient software applications, they're able to stay focused, they're able to stay engaged, and to really improve their productivity. We're also seeing a clear improvement in sentiment scores telling us that the changes we're making are resonating with our workforce. And as a bonus, this has helped us gain that stronger leadership buy-in. When executives see that measurable impact of experience improvements, it becomes a lot easier for us to secure the investment and the support to continue expanding our program. Beyond that, we've been able to resolve issues faster by using proactive monitoring to catch and fix problems before they disrupt work. Automation for us has been a game changer. Self-healing solutions are driving down the number of support requests and reducing our need for manual IT intervention. A couple of recent examples, we've been able to achieve a 23% reduction in blue screens by implementing a self-healing automation. That was all within the first month. And then a recent automated fix for low disk space brought our alerts down from 500 a week down to 50 a week. So some really big gains for us if you think about what in terms of productivity and all of the potential work disruptions, tickets having to be filed, technicians having to reach out and investigate. All of that has been eliminated as we're able to resolve those issues automatically and behind the scenes without our employees even noticing, and then really see that impact in those sentiment scores. So it's been pretty amazing to see how shifting our focus from our traditional SLAs over to XLAs and to putting experience first is making a real tangible difference. We're definitely excited to keep learning, to keep refining, to keep scaling our efforts to drive even bigger impacts with this program. And given that we now have this really strong foundation in place, we're able to look to the future and say, what does our vision for the future look like for this program? So looking ahead, we're excited about expanding the program, not just about adding more XLAs, but really about embedding experience-first thinking into the way that we operate IT as a whole. We're shifting from just tracking our system performance to ensuring technology is actually improving the way that our employees work and improving their productivity and their feeling of empowerment to be able to do their job. To make this vision a reality, we're focusing on a few key areas. First, we're working to expand the use of XLAs across all of IT operations, making experience the standard for how we're measuring success as an organization. By integrating XLAs into those operational metrics, we can measure what truly matters, right? Whether our technology is enabling our people to do their jobs effectively and without frustration. And now that we're embedding experience-first thinking into everything we do, that means every new initiative, every upgrade, and our ongoing support decisions will factor in the employee experience making sure it isn't just an afterthought, but is really a key design principle from the beginning. Another big focus for us is data, specifically experience data, making sure sentiment is part of all of our conversations around IT investments and decision making. That allows us to be proactive and address friction points before they become widespread issues. And at the same time, we also want to empower our teams with experience data that's both accessible and actionable, not just collect the insights, but make sure that that data is usable and can be driven to make meaningful change. And that's by leveraging sentiment tracking tools, right? Making sure every team from service desk to engineering can see how their work is impacting our employees and use that information to drive better outcomes. And then last, we are obviously committed to continuous improvement, right? Our XLAs aren't static. They are meant to evolve over time. This is meant to be iterative. This is meant to continually change and develop and improve so that we can then refine our tools, optimize our processes, adjust our policies in ways that make work easier and more productive for everyone. So at the end of the day, our success is no longer just system uptime, right? We've made the cultural shift, and now it's really about how technology is enabling and enhancing the productivity of our employees. And while we're still early in our XLA journey at T-Mobile, having just launched our first XLA, we're already seeing the impact, and we're really excited to keep pushing this program forward. So I will wrap up by saying that I am looking forward to sharing our progress on our XLA journey with y'all in future sessions.
Wow, thank you so much, Kim. That was amazing. That was really, really good. I loved the way you told the journey, and I loved the emphasis that you gave along the way. I think this is great, and I know that behind this there's a lot of work that you did with the team to get so far, right? So it always looks so much simple when you put it in 4 blocks, and then we did this and we did that. But there's a story. This took a while, right? This to give some people some perspective. How long do you think you've been working to get the groundwork? And because now it's going quite quickly, right? But how long did it take on hard effort just to get this far?
We started with rebranding our support organization back about 3 years ago now. So it's been and granted, T-Mobile is a very large, very complex organization, right? Highly matrix. So it takes us a little longer to get things moving, and that's where that sponsorship and leadership buy-in makes a huge difference. But it's been a good 3-year journey for us now to get to this point.
Yeah, I remember some of those early roundtables that you were saying, "Oh, I'd like to be able to say more, but we're still at this phase." But it really feels like you've got acceleration now, and you've got great executive support as well. And how important is that executive support to getting the program so far along?
That's really critical. And whether you're in a smaller company or a larger, more matrixed organization, if you don't have that buy-in, you are going to hit roadblock after roadblock because you are asking your organization to think about how they measure success in a completely different manner. And that's not just how we measure our business outcomes, right? When you also think about how we're measuring performance of our fix agents, how do we move the needle to say we're not as focused anymore on first contact resolution? Instead, we're going to focus on sentiment and how you're making our employees feel. You need that buy-in from their leaders. You need that buy-in to be able to say, we're measuring your performance in a completely different way going forward than we have traditionally. So it requires a lot of sponsorship. It requires a lot of cultural change and getting everybody on that baseline understanding of what you're trying to do and why and what the value is.
Absolutely. And so we have a question from Dave Quinn. Dave is asking, he's kind of curious as to, I don't know if he's saying the right way, what type of design changes did you have to do to ServiceNow to make it more experience first?
A lot of it comes from how you think about what you're designing. So if you think about designing a catalog form for your service portal, are you walking through that as an employee? Is the language that you're using intuitive? Are you adding a bunch of additional fields because it's easier for your fix agents to get that information up front, but now you've gone from what really could be 5 bits of information from your employee to we're asking you for 20 things. We're going to ask you to go follow these instructions and download these logs and attach them to your ticket and submit it because it's faster for our fix agents, but you're putting all of the onus of that on your employees. And so it's really thinking through, how do you design all of your workflows in a way that's going to create that really seamless experience? How do you leverage data you already have in your platforms and systems rather than asking your employees to provide data you should already know and have at hand? So it's really just about rethinking the way that you're approaching how you want to design the platform. We went in it with a no customization mind frame. So it wasn't about putting a bunch of custom code in. It was really about how do we configure it out of the box the best way possible for our employees.
So, because I think it's fair to say that ServiceNow gets a bad rap sometimes about how easy it is to use for these type of areas. Obviously, it's also an evolving platform. How easy was it for you to get results with ServiceNow in hindsight? Was it a lot of work that's paid off, or was it just a question of refocusing on the customer centric aspect?
Similar to how we launched XLAs, we went in and over-engineered ServiceNow the first time we tried to deploy it. And so we had a lot more custom code and ended up having to back a lot of that out and say, okay, we're going to go back to vanilla out of the box. How do we do this in a way that is super seamless and frictionless for our employees? Whether that's tagging in a different, right now we're looking at AI chatbots, and how do we get, up level our AI chatbot and drive more towards digital avenues for our employees instead of having them be forced to call into a service desk and go through a 3-minute IVR to talk to somebody. So I would say when we went back to, okay, let's scrap the custom code and let's go back to out of the box and design the best experiences that we can, leveraging what's available on the platform, it became really easy for us.
Cool. And I got a question that was actually asked by Francesco De Vivo earlier on, but I think it's applicable here. What did you find were the most effective methods in measuring experience? He tried to use NPS and CSAT, which he's found to be hit and miss. He's also been involved in service review meetings. Are there any other effective methods that you're aware of to actually measure that experience?
I think there's a couple different ways you can approach it. For us, we spent quite a bit of time training on how to create surveys. How do you write surveys? How do you drive adoption of getting folks to respond to surveys? And then how do you make sure you balance between sending out surveys at time of impact? I'm missing something and I need it, so I'm going to submit a request. Something's not working, so I'm going to create an incident. That's when we tend to ask, hey, how's your experience with IT? Well, it sucks because I don't have something I need, right? How do you also make sure you're surveying and getting that sentiment just as an overall, hey, we haven't heard from you in a few months. Do you have everything you need? Tell us about how you feel like technology is supporting you. And then now we have all of these great AI tools, right? So you can take AI tools and overlay them onto your tickets. So when you look at something like, we've got 50,000 tickets a month coming in for tier 1. There's no way for us to comb through 50,000 tickets and understand if some of our fix agents are driving better sentiment scores than others. We can bring AI into that picture, and now we can say, hey, here's 5 fix agents who have lower sentiment scores. How do we go upskill these individuals? How do we provide additional coaching and training? And so I think you have a lot of opportunities to figure out how do you want to pull that sentiment in and what makes the most sense for your organization based on the different channels that you're offering support through.
Brilliant. I think that that definitely answers that question as well. And I think I'm just going to round out with Pramod started asking, can you give any examples of how implementing XLAs has benefited the organization? And then about 15 minutes into your presentation, I'll forget it. You can ignore that question. I think she's answered that. So I just wanted to congratulate you on covering a lot of areas there. I thought it was excellent, and I'm sure I wasn't alone in thinking that. So yeah, we'll see you back when we get to the round table. So
Great,
thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.